Hello and welcome to Nick's Nerd News. This is where you come to listen to breaking news when it comes to the nerd world. That means we have breaking video game news, movie news, and TV news. If you want to hear about the latest games, the latest movies, and everything else, stick around. Because here's your host, Nick, from a tiny studio in San Diego.
What's up, guys? How you doing? How you enjoying the summer, huh? You having a good summer so far? I mean, mine's going pretty well. You know, it's always great in San Diego, realistically. I mean, people come here to visit. I live in a place people vacation in, right? I don't want to rub that in. But no, are you guys having a good summer? You traveling? You staying in? You staying home? Going to the lake, the river, the beach, the mountains. Probably not the deserts. I don't know who goes to the desert in the summer. That doesn't sound fun or appealing. Are you going to the southern hemisphere where it's the winter time? How about that? It's the winter time right now in the southern hemisphere. Crazy if you didn't know that. I saw Superman last night. Boy, was that a great movie. We're going to talk about that at the end of the show. There's some other stuff going on, like we got the cast for the Legend of Zelda movie. The internet can finally just calm down, really. I know it's been quiet on that front for a while, though, realistically. Scrubs is coming back. Scrubs was a great comedy. I love Scrubs. I don't watch a lot of medical shows. Scrubs is one of them. Also, you know, the fun stuff is just going on. We got more fallout from the Xbox layoffs because that's never going to just stop, realistically. There's just so much shit that's going to come out from that. The Emmy nominations were announced, and I feel like they just don't like Star Wars. Because there were some big snubs. And then we got a teaser trailer for Mortal Kombat 2, the new movie. But this is essentially like a 90s action movie trailer for a Johnny Cage movie. So it's the movie within a movie is what it is, really. So we're going to talk about all that. And before we do, why don't you head over to nicksnerdnews.com. That is the one-stop shop for all things Nick's Nerd News. You can listen to the show right in your browser, or you can take us on the go, because I got links, all the links to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, and YouTube. Right? Also, check out the social media tab. We're on Twitter. We're on Instagram. We're on Threads. We got a Facebook. And guess what? YouTube's also a social media site. What? Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get straight to the news, shall we? All right, so gaming. Obviously, we know Rare was hit by the layoffs, even got a game canceled. Well, they are sticking it out when it comes to Sea of Thieves. They had like a developer direct type deal last week, Essentially, it was a hour-long discussion that they talked about the future of Sea of Thieves and things like that. They admitted that they were kind of on the back foot, to quote them, essentially. But they realized, though, that they want to commit, like I said, to Sea of Thieves. They didn't bring up the layoffs at all. But they're going to revamp the seasons. They're going to launch a subscription-funded custom servers, improve the game's overall health and performance, that they are committed to the game for the long haul, even mentioning like a 5-year plan, essentially. So that's pretty wild to hear. Obviously, they can direct their attention. Obviously, they're not working on another game. But, yeah, there you go, if you still play Sea of Thieves. The team at ZeniMax Online Studios, at least what's left of them, has said that they will start adding some content into Fallout 76 that are tie-ins to Season 2 of the Fallout show on Amazon. Since, if you guys remember, the Fallout show is canon to the wider Fallout universe. It does take place within canon. I think it's set between I don't remember when exactly between the games. I know it's after New Vegas. But yeah, that's smart. I mean, it's strange that it took this long and it wasn't in the first season, but yeah, it takes place after all the existing games. But it does, so it does have a little more creative liberty, but I don't know. That's interesting for sure. At least Fallout 76. Speaking with Variety of all places, Bethesda Game Studios Fallout 76 creative director John Rush said the development team is, quote, always focused on the game. But the two teams behind the show and the game talk to each other about lining things up with the seasonal references of the show, unquote. So there you go. There's going to be some tie-ins, hopefully some releases, seasonal releases in Fallout 76. So Donkey Kong Bonanza is out this week, and we know the motivation for making it. So it's the same team that made Super Mario Odyssey, and which is great because I know people love Super Mario Odyssey, and obviously Pauline is in it again, so that's their favorite character, it seems like. So, but it wasn't meant to be like Super Mario Odyssey DLC or a sequel or anything like that. Like it's its own game. Producer Kenta Motokura, who was also the director on Super Mario Odyssey, said that essentially Nintendo executive Yoshiaka Koizumi approached the Odyssey team and essentially said, hey, can you make a new 3D Donkey Kong game? And there you go. So that that's it. Mainly because Nintendo hasn't done a Donkey Kong game internally in over 20 years. So there you go. The execs were like, hey, let's make a Donkey Kong game. And they were like, okay. And people are loving it. Like, I'm seeing amazing reviews on it. Obviously, it's a Switch 2 exclusive. So, I don't have a Switch 2. Anyway, Sony and Sucker Punch had a state of play dedicated to Ghosts of Yotai, which is out later this year. And we got to see some new things. It was a 20-minute presentation of mostly gameplay. The creative directors of the game were there to talk about it, showcase the landscape, the characters, things like that. But it looks like it's going to be a good game, especially if you loved Ghost of Tsushima. So, yeah, it's 1603 Japan. It's set, I think, like a couple hundred years later. But they've changed some things from Ghost of Tsushima, obviously. Kurosawa mode will return. There will be new other immersive options as well. And that game is due out, I think, in October, right? I think is when the game launches. Hold on. Yeah, October 2nd on PlayStation 5. And they will release special edition consoles and controllers as well at launch. So we'll see if they sell those faceplates separately. I want to talk about... we haven't talked about this for a while at all, really, but it's been going on for several weeks. So if you guys know, Subnautica was a great simulator game that came out a couple years ago. Well, the second game is due out, but now we've learned that the company that owns them, Krafton, fired all of the leadership, replaced them right before the game was due out, including the founder of the studio. Now Krafton is blaming Leeds for the game's release delay for a lot of reasons. And then now we've even heard it's getting really messy about this. There was an internal documents leak, and it's all over a $250 million bonus that Krafton did not want to pay the developers. Wow. So Krafton fired the developer Unknown Worlds in October 2021. And Krafton said they would continue to operate as a independent outfit. But then Unknown Worlds, Krafton removed the CEO and several others, replaced them, effective immediately, essentially, which is a wild thing to do. And the game has been delayed apparently to 2026, just months before Krafton was set to pay $250 million bonus to the development team. Then Bloomberg said that the delay was, quote, against the wishes of the studio's former leadership, unquote, and that bonus would have kicked in if they hit revenue targets by the end of 2025. And then now, because the game got delayed, the bonus wouldn't be paid out. Krafton is saying, quote, it has nothing to do with any contractual or financial considerations, unquote. And it was all because of play tests. Then there was an internal review document that leaked that Krafton confirmed was real. And it didn't have a great mid-cycle review, saying, quote, given these circumstances, Krafton has determined that transparent communication is necessary and has chosen to confirm the authenticity of the document, unquote. But Krafton wasn't happy with development, I guess. There's just so much going on with that, and it'll be interesting to see what the fallout ends up being, but it's a messy, messy thing, and this is what happens when big publishers buy little studios. And it's unfortunate, but now another report's come out that former Unknown Worlds leadership is accusing Krafton of hindering games release and firing them to avoid paying that $250 million bonus. So they are suing. Those former leadership team is now suing Krafton. And Krafton went out of their way to delay the game and hinder development. So this is also reported by Bloomberg. It was shared by Aftermath. Former Unknown World CEO Ted Gill and co-founders Charlie Cleveland and Max McGuire claimed their relationship with Krafton was going well up until earlier this year, when revenue projections were shared and it looked like it was going to do better than it was originally anticipated, obviously leading to a potential $250 million bonus. Yeah, that's then they tried to negotiate for new developers that weren't initially tied into the bonuses. And then after Krafton learned this, they started to suggest the game be delayed. Wow. Wow. But Krafton has, of course, extended the timeline for the bonus, obviously, meaning they're looking to do it. However, Krafton would have to pay $25 million, not $250 million. I can't wait to see how it all plays out, because it's all fucking dirty. It's just a dirty, dirty game situation. We'll see if people then just ignore buying the game. Then again, you don't want to hurt devs, but you don't want to reward the publisher in this case. I don't know. It's a wild situation. Prime Day was last week. I heard there was a massive drop in Prime Day sales on day one. Anyway, one game benefited from Amazon Prime. Dragon Quest III HD 2-Day Remake went on sale for $35 during Prime Days. Because of that, sales soared 2,000%. People were just waiting for the game to be $35. That's a wild, wild jump in sales. $35 on PS5 and Switch, so it's on both consoles. That's insane. It's a 36-year-old game, obviously, with a remake, but a 2,000% increase in sales. I just had to report that, because that's an outrageous number for a remake. The FBI has stepped in and is shutting down Nintendo Switch piracy websites. Really? This is what they're committing their time to? Look, I get it. You're right. You don't want to pirate games, but at the same time, really? You have other things to focus on? Yeah, a few major sites have actually been shut down by the FBI. NSW2U.com hosts a single image offering a warning message from the FBI showing that they did indeed take over the website. And they've gone after some others as well. European countries already blocked the website, but now it's gone for good, essentially, as the U.S. version has been shut down, or access to it in the U.S. has been shut down as well. So, when you think of multiverses, I don't think you think of Resident Evil. Well, that's all going to end, apparently, as a new Resident Evil game is in the works that's set in an a parallel universe. Resident Evil Survival Unit is being called a, quote, global multiplayer experience, unquote. You'll get to play as Leon, Jill, and the Resident Evil 4 merchant, of all people. It is a strategy game spin-off for smartphones. What? That's really crazy. It's being developed by Aniplex as the, quote, the world's first full Resident Evil for mobile, unquote, during their showcase. And, interesting. Real-time defense game battles. Leon S. Kennedy, Jill Valentine, Claire Redfield, Resident Evil character Barry Burton are included as well. So, that's interesting. Alyssa Ashcroft, Becca Woolett from Resident Evil Outbreak and Resident Evil Resistance. Marvin Brana is also in the game as well, but it will not have any tie-in with Requiem, obviously, since it's set in a parallel universe. Of all things to get a multiverse, really? Resident Evil? Come on. Come on. Final Fantasy may be returning to turn-based tactics. Turn-based tactics. Oh, yeah, no, it's turn-based. After the success of Clair Obscur Expedition 33. Final Fantasy producer Naoki Yoshida said that they haven't made a decision, though. He was the director, producer of Final Fantasy XIV, the producer on 16, was asked in an interview with Anime News Network whether the games would go back to turn-based because of it. He said, quote, "With this question of turn-based versus action, it tends to isolate the gameplay to just the battle system. That doesn't take into account that what kind of game the creators want to deliver to players. For example, based on a certain graphical quality we want to present to our players or the narrative we want to deliver to our players. It relates to how we set up the game systems around it. This includes the battle system, game design, and gameplay feel. It's not a clear-cut answer whether it will become all turn-based or if it's going to become more action-based. I'm not necessarily going to be on Final Fantasy XVII, so we also don't want to obstruct or limit our future director or whomever will be producing the game like 17 or even 18. We don't know. We don't want to put them all on a rail," unquote. So, a lot of people's biggest complaint with the Final Fantasy VII remake, right, is that it's more modern and doesn't have turn-based like the original version. Granted, the original version came out in the 90s, and you couldn't really do what you do now in Final Fantasy games back then. So, personally, I haven't played Clair Obscur yet, so I can't say what I would prefer. But being a fan of the Final Fantasy VII remake, and then, of course, of Kingdom Hearts and things like that, I prefer the modern combat, personally. As of right now. Maybe when I play Clair Obscur, my mind could be swayed. So, don't expect a full answer yet on Final Fantasy 17 or a potential 18 at some point in the future as well. The fact that we're up to 16. Overwatch 2 has had a tumultuous life since its launch. Well, game director Aaron Keller is understandably ready to address players' concerns, even admitting that Blizzard, quote-unquote, dropped the ball when it came to story content, PvE, and animated shorts, which everyone used to love from Overwatch. In an interview with content creator J3 and Overwatch 2 voice actor Connor McLeod, he had this conversation. And while it's known for its team-based gameplay, Keller recognized that story content does need to, quote-unquote, come back. They're going to be firing on all cylinders, saying, quote, "One of the things that we hear our players talk about a lot, you see online, it feels like Overwatch has dropped the ball when it comes to story and lore. You kind of see that. We used to put a few more of the big animated shorts out than we do nowadays," unquote. So there you go. They admitted it, and then in the same thing, he did say, quote, "To speak frankly about it, we did have a big plan to go after story in the game. That was the PvE side of it with the campaign and everything like that. That didn't work out, so it was kind of a bit of a reset moment for us when that happened, and we would like to get back to it. I think one of the best parts of Overwatch is the universe and the characters that are there. That's definitely a goal of ours to get back to it. There's been a bit of a step backwards that we had to take in order for us to be able to start moving forward on it again," unquote. So there you go. Story content is coming back. I'm sure that will make a lot of people happy. Maybe bring people back. I don't know. Well, let's float back over to Nintendo real quick. We might have another Nintendo property making the leap to their own feature film. And what I mean by that is it's someone who's already been on the big screen so far. Donkey Kong. As Nintendo has filed a copyright notice for a Donkey Kong film. And the filing is for, quote, "Untitled Donkey Kong Project Motion Picture," unquote. It lists Nintendo Studios LLC along with Universal Pictures. So, obviously, this is going to be a spin-off from the Super Mario Brothers movie. They better bring Seth Rogen back as Donkey Kong. Like, you kind of have to, right? So, that's nothing else. But there you go. Donkey Kong movie might be in the works. Or maybe it's an adaptation of Bonanza. I don't know. Anyway, let's shoot on over to Microsoft, because after laying all those people off, then turning around and investing $80 billion in AI, they put out an advertisement looking for graphic designers and used AI slop as the artwork for the ad. It says, quote, Xbox graphics is hiring, unquote, and shows a woman working on a computer where the screen is backwards and it's clearly made by AI. So, and it was posted on LinkedIn of all fucking places. How do you go and lay people off and then invest in AI and then put this out? Like, are you fucking kidding me, dude? This is just a giant slap in the face to all the people you just laid off. It's not an official post by Microsoft, but it was posted by employees, especially from an individual employee. But it comes off as poor taste, right? A lot of people commented on it. It's on a LinkedIn post. A lot of people commented on it, calling it out, essentially. So it's wow. Microsoft staff member quoted as saying, quote, do you think this image communicates this is a company where we value people who can make stuff look good? That's whoo. A Meta employee said, quote, posting this days after MS laid off 9,000 folks in game dev while including an AI-generated image wherein the monitor is backwards. Like, dude, read the room, unquote. Ubisoft employee said, quote, this shit is just embarrassing AI gutter slop image to advertise a graphics post. Do fucking better, unquote. That's fucking brutal. And it's sad. And it just, what has Microsoft become is the real question. What a fucking clown show over there, dude. So, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 3 and 4 is now out. If you have Game Pass, you can play it. You can buy it. It's on all the consoles. Apparently, there was a reference to Guitar Hero. I haven't played it yet. And developer Iron Galaxy said they're investigating it, as there was a, quote, Easter egg that may have referenced Guitar Hero. And apparently, it featured a Guitar Hero box in a garbage can at the water park. Wow. That's pretty... wow. So, obviously Neversoft used to make Guitar Hero. Neversoft also made all of the original Tony Hawk games. So, it's pretty sad that they did this. It's poor taste, realistically. Interesting. Iron Galaxy, the developer, said, quote, we have the utmost respect for anyone who makes games. We're investigating how that got in there in the first place. Thank you to the community for bringing this to our attention. And we'll be removing that from the environment art in the next update, unquote. So, Was it a joke? Was it a dig? What was it? It'll be interesting, too, to see what ultimately happens. The BBC. Yes, I will speak about this article in a professional British accent, yes. The BBC has made a faux pas in referencing a classic Nintendo video game. I don't know if I can maintain that. But the UK games industry has distanced themselves from a BBC error, which featured several different video game consoles. And on the Breakfast TV segment on one of the shows on the BBC, on Yuki, I guess. I don't know what the fuck that is. Nick Poole, the host, Yuki boss Nick Poole introduced hosts John Kay and Sally Nugent to several retro systems like a ZX81, a Nintendo Wii, and a Super Nintendo or Super NES. But here's the problem. I guess someone asked in the comments, like, quote, great to see this content on a mainstream channel, but a NES cart on a SNES, and where's the greatest and UK's biggest selling 16-bit console, the Sega Mega Drive, unquote. And I'm going to zero in on what they said. Yes, somehow on this television show, someone took a Super Mario Brothers Nintendo Entertainment System cartridge and somehow bastardized it and shoved it into a Super Nintendo. It doesn't work that way. Wow. That's pretty sad that happened on national television on the BBC. UK national television, I should say. People said it reported crime. Yuki, which I guess, that's the UK's games industry, distanced themselves from it, despite the fact that they were on the segment, telling Video Game Central, quote, for transparency, the studio team set up the in-studio display independently and handled the placement of the consoles. Unfortunately, we couldn't adjust it whilst on air, unquote. Oh, dude, some PA just got fired. That's for damn sure. Yes, let me shove this cartridge into this console. Clearly they're meant for each other. They both say Nintendo. No. If that happened on American television, someone would be canceled. Straight up. The ZeniMax union is calling out Microsoft over the layoffs, so still more layoff news. Here we are. But the union that represents employees at ZeniMax Online Studios has put out a statement, ZeniMax Online Studios United. They represent employees of the Elder Scrolls Online, and they represented a portion of employees who were working on the unannounced MMO that was canceled. But it was confirmed all members of their union are still employed at Microsoft as of now, receiving pay and benefits, but might not last forever. Their statement said this, quote, earlier this month, Microsoft indefinitely shelved an unannounced MMORPG at ZeniMax Online Studios. A shock to the 222 Zosu CWA developers working on the project. It has been heartening and validating to see our game mentioned in the press and by players that would have loved to see the results of our work. Undoubtedly, a future has been stolen from many of us, and our community will never experience an amazing game. However, despite discussions regarding the status of our employment, the fact is we have not yet been laid off. While we understand that for most of us, something like a layoff is inevitable, last December, both the teams behind the Elder Scrolls Online and the unannounced project voted overwhelmingly to form a union and establish ZeniMax Online Studios United CWA. Worker volunteers elected to represent the interests of our union are currently bargaining with Microsoft for the benefit of our impacted teammates. While Microsoft and Zosu CWA bargain over how we move forward following the project closure, the developers behind the unannounced project remain employees of ZeniMax Online Studios with full pay and benefits. On July 2nd, our lives were upended without prior notice or communication from Microsoft leadership and without clear understanding about the status of our employment. In light of this, our union came together with urgency, gathering and distributing information and resources to our affected members. Where Microsoft has failed to support the talented craftspeople who have generated billions in revenue, our union has stepped up to provide clarity and support. It is true that a layoff may be in the future for some of our members. However, as a result of our organizing, we are able to ensure that those impacted will be able to depart with dignity. More importantly, the work of Zosu CWA will continue so that our remaining teammates, the stalwart developers of ESO, can follow in the footsteps of our colleagues across other departments and studios at Microsoft. Including our union siblings at ZeniMax Workers United, we look forward to other units who will soon ratify fair contracts that will guarantee the rights we all deserve. Unquote. That's good. See, that's the benefit of a union sometimes. Now, I'm not here to say if it's good or bad. I have reported on all the unions in gaming so far. I will say that I think unions are needed in the gaming industry, not necessarily across all industries. I know how I've read countless times how game developers are mistreated, fired, moving across the country. We all have seen it. Look at this mass layoff just because they felt like it on a whim and wanted to invest in AI instead, right? Not every industry needs a union. I want to clarify that. I'm not pro-union. I'm not anti-union. Just saying sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. Most cases, though, it's usually good, especially in 2025. But it's good to hear that a lot of those guys still have their job, at least for now. An icon in Akihabara in Japan, the area of Tokyo known for arcades, is losing an icon. Genda Gigo Entertainment announced yesterday that it's going to be closing their Akihabara Gigo 1 arcade at the end of August. That was Sega's flagship arcade for 32 years. This was all reported by IT Media. That was like, Sega used to have some of the best arcades on the planet in Akihabara. Akihabara is known for anime, manga, game-related stores, electronic shops, but things have been changing over the last few years. But a lot of smaller stores have been run out, and it's kind of been gentrified and has more tourist-friendly shops, mainstream shops. Arcades have just been dying in general around the world. COVID kind of killed a lot of them, even in Japan, where arcades have still been very popular. Sega, though, started pulling out back in 2020, but and Genda was buying up the shares and the arcades, eventually buying the whole of Sega's arcade and amusement business, which then they named it Genda Gigo Entertainment, and they were all rebranded Gigo. This first arcade opened in 1992 as High-Tech Land Sega Shintoku, then became Club Sega Akihabara, then Sega Akihabara 1, and then, of course, like I said, Akihabara Gigo 1 arcade. But it will be closing down August 31st, 2025, because of the fixed-term lease on the building expired. That's what? And it's not the first time. That's so weird that they can't extend the lease. Wow. Okay. Because it might be too expensive. It's near a major metro station. But they did say, Gigo reminded arcade fans, there are still 3 remaining arcades in Akihabara, and it will be turned into a new amusement facility by Matahari Entertainment, and they operate the Silk Hat chain of game centers. They will be collaborating with them, saying, quote, collaborating with Matahari Entertainment will contribute even further to the development of Akihabara and Japan's pop culture, unquote. So they might not have the arcade, but they're going to partner with the team behind the arcade. The people taking over. Whatever. I don't know, man. The Last of Us television show might end with season 3, despite plans of potential 4th or 5th seasons. HBO boss Casey Bloys has stated that season 3 is, quote, definitely planned, unquote, for 2027. However, it might be the final season. People turned on that show like I've never seen before. Obviously, showrunner and franchise creator Neil Druckmann left the show. But Bloys is confident in Craig Mazin's ability to take over as showrunner. But he said, quote, the series is definitely planned for 2027. Craig is still working it out whether it will be 2 more seasons or 1 more long season. It hasn't been decided yet, and I'm following Craig's lead on that, unquote. That's cool. That's cool that they're going to let him finish to have more if they want. This was an interview with Variety. Bloys continued to say, quote, not from a marketing perspective, because I think the title is obviously helped by the video game, and now the first 2 seasons is pretty well established. I kind of appreciate shows that take things and do a show from a different point of view, unquote. So, yeah, there you go. The internet can finally calm down because we now have the cast for the Legend of Zelda live-action film. Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason, and Link will be played by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth. This was announced today on a social media post and statement from Shigeru Miyamoto, saying, quote, very much looking forward to seeing the pair. Saying, full quote, this is Miyamoto. I am pleased to announce that for the live-action film of The Legend of Zelda, Zelda will be played by Bo Bragason-san and Link by Benjamin Evan Ainsworth-san. I'm very much looking forward to seeing both of them on the big screen. The film is scheduled to be released in theaters on May 7th, 2027. Thank you for your patience, unquote. I love how Shigeru always introduces himself as this is Miyamoto, like people don't know who he is at this point. Like, dude, you're one of the most famous people in gaming. People know who you are. Bragason has appeared in Netflix fantasy shows Renegade Nell and the BBC crime adaptation The Jetty. Ainsworth, who's actually younger than Bragason, was in the Netflix show The Haunting of Bly Manor, and very few other things. So they're mostly new actors. Interesting. There you go. It's not going to be Hunter Schafer. The internet can fucking relax. For God's sakes, relax. Yeah, so there you go. So more about them. Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, who's playing Link, is from Yorkshire in Northern England. His first acting credit was on Emmerdale when he was 10 years old. His first major role was in The Haunting of Bly Manor. He was the main character, Miles Wingrave. And then he voiced Pinocchio in the live-action Disney remake of Pinocchio, and then was also in Son of a Critch in Canada. There you go. And then was also in Bryan Cranston and Allison Janney in Everything's Going to Be Great. Oh, that's cool. And then Bo Bragason, who's playing Zelda, is also from England, but grew up in France, and her first on-screen appearance was a as a toddler in a French film, L'amour cache. And then her first big screen role was providing motion capture for young Luna in the Square Enix CGI movie Kingsglaive Final Fantasy 15. Then last year played the younger sister of Renegade Nell in the Netflix show movie. And then Amy Knightley in The Jetty on the BBC. So, there you go. Cool. The Legend of Zelda. And then we got a new trailer. I say that in air quotes. You can't see my hands. Because a full trailer for the Mortal Kombat 2 movie is coming out tomorrow. But in the meantime, we got essentially what is a fake trailer for a movie within a movie of Johnny Cage's Uncaged? No. What do they call it? Uncaged Fury, which is even made by New Line Cinema within the meta version. Carl Urban, of course, is playing Johnny Cage in the upcoming film. The trailer's hilarious, by the way. It's very 90s action, a spoof on Seagal, Van Damme, things like that. And they have the classic, like, movie man voice, like that kind of thing. So, you've seen him in Cool Hand Cage. He should have brought more guys. Things like stupid stuff like that. It's really funny, but I can't wait to see what the real trailer is tomorrow. Because if this brings some levity to the film, which it didn't really, the first one didn't really have a whole lot of it, then I'm excited. That is it for gaming, though. Let's head on up the 5 freeway and see what's going on in Hollywood, shall we? All right. Let's add to the growing list of Netflix anime adaptations, as Solo Leveling will be the next to be adapted by the streaming giant. Let's see how people feel about that. I wrote Seinfeld instead of Netflix, so that shows you where my head was at in my show notes. I think I was watching us think about Seinfeld during my show notes. New King of the Hill trailer dropped ahead of the new season premiere next month. Ronnie Chang is joining the show as well and will be taking over as the voice of Khan. Yeah. Hank Hill is back. Jason Momoa has a new show coming to Apple TV Plus that looks epic. It's called, oh man, was it something of war? Hold on. I didn't write the name of the damn show down. Chief of War, and it's about, he plays a chief on the island of Hawaii in the late 1700s, about the unification of Hawaii under Kamehameha. And the show looks awesome. Like, they filmed with Polynesian actors and things like that. Tamura Morrison's in it. Cliff Curtis is in it. I'm all in, dude. I am all in. Show looks awesome. The Office is the spin-off show of The Office, or the revival, whatever you want to call it. The Paper, which is with a mostly entirely different cast, set within a newspaper in a different city in a different state, but nonetheless technically a spin-off of The Office, will premiere on Peacock on September 4th. There you have it. And then some sad news here. The second voice actor to portray Professor Oak in the Pokemon series, also was the voice of James, Meowth, and more, has passed away at the age of 71. Also voiced Gary Oak Reported by TMZ, James Carter Cathcart passed away on Tuesday after battling throat cancer for the last 2 years. He did retire from voice acting 2 years ago as well. His most famous work is working on Pokemon. His first role within the Pokemon universe, though, was on Pokemon the first movie, Mewtwo Strikes Back, as Fergus. And was the voice of Snubble in Pikachu's Vacation. He would go on to voice Todd Snap in Pokemon Snap, and then joined the anime in the 2000s, picking up the roles of James Meowth and Professor Oak from their original actors until his retirement. He also was the voice of Weevil Underwood in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, was in Kirby Right Back At Ya, One Piece, and Sonic X. He was also in Shadow the Hedgehog game, but that's unfortunate. We also have our next Lego Transformer, and it's still not Megatron. You can see I'm a little salty about that. I will take this one, though. Soundwave is a good one as well. Soundwave in all his purple glory. He comes with mini-cons. They do turn into tapes. He does transform into a cassette player. Still not Megatron. Fuck Bumblebee, though. But Soundwave looks pretty legit. I'm not going to lie. I just want Megatron. Give me Megatron, Lego. What are you doing? Soundwave's a consolation for now. Anyway, Scrubs is coming back with Zach Braff, Donald Faison, and Sarah Chalk, all set to return as of now. Bill Lawrence is still helping with the revival. No word on if the janitor will return or anyone else. I always liked Scrubs. It's one of the few medical-based shows that I enjoyed watching. That and House, really, are the only ones. Medical shows, I don't have the patience for them. And that's coming from someone who watches Star Trek and documentaries. I can't with medical dramas or medical comedies. They're just too ridiculous sometimes, for me, at least. But Scrubs is one of the ones that I always enjoyed, and I'm happy they're bringing everyone back. Especially since Zach Braff wasn't in, like, the final season they did when they changed it to, like, a training hospital or something. I don't know. Red Sonja is coming back in what I think is probably the worst trailer I've ever laid my eyes upon. It looks like a Sci-Fi Channel movie. But obviously, Red Sonja, if you didn't know, has always been tied to the Conan movies as well. But the movie will come out this year starring Matilda Lutz, who is an Italian model, was in Revenge Out of the Park. Oh, no, was in the movie Revenge from Coralie Farragut. I don't know. A lot of people said it looks cheap and still wastes money in the comments for the trailer. This is one comment was, quote, "This is the most 2009 to 2011 thing I've ever seen." That's fucking funny, because a lot of shitty movies came out in that time frame that looked like this. Yeah. Anyway, a new Red Sonja movie is officially coming out. Anyway. That's cool. Dean Cain. Shut up, Dean Cain. That's what I'm going to say. The D-list actor, I mean, really, like, what? He's already had to walk these statements back, by the way. But he called out James Gunn over Superman and famously, Dean Cain played Superman in the 90s on television. So, in an interview with the Times, James Gunn said, quote, "I'm telling a story about a guy who's uniquely good, and that feels needed now because there is a meanness that has emerged due to cultural figures being mean online. And I include myself in this. It is ad infinitum. Millions of people having tantrums online. How are we supposed to get anywhere as a culture? We don't know what's real, and that is a really difficult place for the human brain to be. If I could press a button to make the internet disappear, I'd consider it. And no, I don't make films to change the world, but if a few people could just be a bit nicer after this, it would make me happy." Unquote. He then said, he's been talking about Superman being an immigrant. And if you know anything about Superman, you know he's an immigrant. He is literally an alien from another planet. Regardless, some people in media are accusing the film of being woke and other things. But again, I saw the movie. I usually have a low tolerance for true woke things. You guys know I talk about woke sometimes, and I think it's overplayed a lot. This Superman movie is the farthest thing from that. Just saying. Anyway, yeah. Dean Cain, yeah. I just, Dean Cain, who was on the show Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman from 1993 to 1997, told TMZ, quote, "I think bringing Superman into it, I think that was a mistake by James Gunn to say it's an immigrant thing, and I think it's going to hurt the numbers on the movie. I was excited for the film. I'm excited to see what it is because James Gunn seems to have a sense of humor, and the last iterations of Superman didn't have much humor, and I love the humor in Superman, so I'm rooting for it to be a success, but I don't like that last political comment. How woke is Hollywood going to make this character? Last political comment, unquote. Then he went on a tirade about Snow White. Then he followed up about Superman again, saying, quote, "For Superman, it was truth, justice, and the American way. Well, they dropped that. In fact, they let it go. They let that trademark on that go. So it's out there, and then they came up with truth, justice, and a better tomorrow. Changing beloved characters I don't think is a great idea. If you want to create a new character, go ahead and do that. But for me, Superman has always stood for truth, justice, and the American way. And the American way is immigrant-friendly, tremendously immigrant-friendly," unquote. Dean Cain said. But look, dude, it's not a political comment. It's like, I don't understand. The whole part about Superman being an immigrant and technically an illegal alien has literally been like part of Superman for the better part of a decade. A lot of people in media tend to have this weird, I don't want to say a bias, because that's just there inherently, but they have these like blinders on, or they forget anything that existed before the current cultural zeitgeist. It's like, last time I checked, Superman was from another planet since day one, 80 fucking years ago. And they've talked about him being an immigrant like forever. I know he gave up his American citizenship a while back, and obviously the talking heads lost their collective minds over it. Like, I don't give a fuck what citizen Superman is. I think the American way, the dude stands up for people and what's right. Like, that's technically the American way without saying it outright. Do I care if they say truth, justice, and the American way? No, I really don't. As long as Superman isn't out there murdering people and helping people, that's all you need. He literally saves a squirrel in the new movie. Yes, a squirrel. Because that's what Superman does. Um, yeah. Anyway, um, Nathan Fillion said, like, quote, somebody needs a hug. It's just a movie, guys, unquote. I I don't know. Dean Cain then, of course, walked it back at a convention recently, but I just I think it's hilarious. Shut up, Dean. Just watch the damn movie before you say a goddamn thing. Like, come on, dude. All these people probably haven't even watched the damn movie and just spout off as they always do. Superman is literally born and raised in Kansas in like every iteration except for like Red Sun. The dude is more American than Batman. I don't know about that. Anyway, yeah. I just whatever, dude. Superman, of course, we're going to talk about that for a bit. Dominated the box office this weekend. The biggest domestic box office launch ever for a solo Superman movie, with a global weekend take of $217 million at the box office. Made $122 million at the domestic box office alone. So, and that's not adjusted for inflation. So more than Man of Steel made back in 2013 with $116 million. Superman Returns did $52 million in 2006. Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice launched $166 million in 2016, but of course that's not a solo Superman movie. It is the biggest superhero movie opening weekend since Deadpool and Wolverine, which did $211 million domestically. So it did better than Captain America: Brave New World and Thunderbolts. It's also the biggest DC movie launch opening weekend since Wonder Woman's $103 million in 2017. It only made $95 million internationally. Of course, I don't think Superman plays as well internationally, despite being, one of the three most recognizable superheroes. There's a new report that came out that shows how much money Superman needs to make, and there were rumors swirling that it needed to make $700 million. James Gunn has fought that, saying realistically it really only needs to make like $5 or something like that. But a new leak or report or something found like all the details. The budget of the movie was $225 million, and the marketing budget was $125 million. So, in reality, it needs to make, $350 million to break even. Well, it already made $220 million alone on opening weekend. I think it's on the right track given the reception to the film. I think it's going to have positive word of mouth. It has a week before Fantastic Four comes out. I think it's going to do fine, especially given how packed it was at my showing last night. We also learned the salaries. James Gunn made $15 million. Nicholas Hoult made $2 million. And David Corn Sweat and Rachel Brosnahan each made $750,000. That's kind of low. So even for Rachel Brosnahan, who's kind of like a household name, I understand Nicholas Hoult getting the highest. He's the most well-known. He's the most established. I'm shocked that James Gunn made the most, though, too, as a director. But that was the weekend for the box office. We'll see. Let me see. What did... I want to know what Jurassic World did in its second weekend. Box Office Mojo. Jurassic World Rebirth. It's made $544 million worldwide. The most internationally, of course. That makes sense. Can I not look at weekends anymore? What the heck, dude? It's made. Oh, it did well this weekend. Yeah, okay. Big drop though. But yeah. Oh, here we go. Domestic weekend. Weekend 2, it made $40 million. A 50% drop. Ugh. Not great. $40 million. I don't know why I said $50 million. $40 million. But it's up to $232 million domestically. So it's been doing okay domestically still. Because obviously it opened during a holiday. So it's a little different because it had 2 high days before the full weekend. But it's been doing well still, surprisingly. The dailies on this thing are still pretty good. That's weird. Tuesdays are better than Mondays. I think because a lot of theaters do half-price Tuesdays. That would make sense, actually. Yeah, $544 million worldwide. That's pretty good so far. That's pretty good so far for 2 weekends. We'll see how Superman does, though, this weekend without Fantastic Four to worry about. Anyway, Ryan Johnson got talking about Star Wars. Always good to hear him talk about Star Wars. I like Ryan Johnson. I wish people understood The Last Jedi is a great movie. He said that his days, quote, arguing on the playground about Star Wars, quote, unquote, helped him process the backlash to The Last Jedi. He used to dislike the prequels and helped him understand the backlash to his movie. But I don't know. It's still, people still fight about it today. Saying he told Rolling Stone, said, quote, having grown up a Star Wars fan ultimately let me contextualize it and feel at peace with it in many different ways. Just remembering going back on one level to arguing on the playground about Star Wars as a kid. I was in college when the prequels came out. My friends and I were prequel hate central. Everyone was ruthless at the time. Now the prequels are embraced. I'm not saying that as a facility. Oh, things will flip around in 20 years, you'll see. It's more that this push and pull and this hatred to stuff that seems new, this is all part of being a Star Wars fan. Culture war garbage aside, I think that essential part of it is a healthy part, unquote. Look at that. He ended up talking about his Star Wars trilogy. I think that's still happening. It was all conceptual, he told Rolling Stone, saying, quote, nothing really happened with it. We had a great time working together, and they said, let's keep doing it. I said, great. I would kick ideas around with Kathy. The short version is Knives Out happened. I went off and made Knives Out, and it was off to the races, busy making murder mysteries. It's the sort of thing, if down the line there's an opportunity to do it or do something else in Star Wars, I would be thrilled. But right now I'm just doing my own stuff and pretty happy, unquote. So it looks like Knives Out has taken over. So I don't know. I want him back. I really want him back. I hope he comes back. I know they're leaving the door open for it at some point in the future. So let's do it, Ryan. Come back, dude. Finish Knives Out and let's do it. We got our first look at Harry Potter and Rubius Hagrid, at least the actors in costume, as the show has begun filming. The Harry Potter show has begun filming, and honestly, the kid looks better than I think Daniel Radcliffe looked as Harry Potter. I'm not gonna lie, looks solid. Nick Frost as Hagrid, though, interesting. Looks the part. I wonder how they're going to do the forced perspective thing, though. We'll find out. There may be a Hocus Pocus 3. It took, 20 plus years to get a second one? Now the third one might be coming as well. Sarah Jessica Parker said that Disney is in discussions about it. In an interview on Watch What Happens Live, Sarah Jessica Parker said, quote, "No more developments other than we would like to do it. We've been having some conversations," unquote. There you go. But, I mean, the head of Walt Disney Studios Motion Pictures, Sean Bailey, said that they were making a third one. But nothing has been official since 2023. So it looks like they're still figuring it out. So, if I were to ask you what the most watched streaming show was, I'm sure you would not get the answer. You wouldn't. You just wouldn't. Because it's Bluey. And I say that because I'm sure a lot of... I'm not going to say I'm sure a lot of you. I don't know how many of my listeners have children. And even then, how many of you are letting your children watch Bluey? And how many of you don't have kids and watch Bluey? I don't watch Bluey. But Bluey, despite not having any new episodes recently, is the #1 streamed television show in 2025, according to Nielsen's top 20 streaming charts for the first half of the year. 25.1 billion minutes, yes, billion with a B, of Bluey has been streamed from January to June. And South Park is at 20th with 10.5 billion minutes watched. Only 3 original titles made the top 20 list: Squid Game, The Night Agent, and Reacher. Crazy. Squid Game was the only original program to place in the top 10 with over 15 billion minutes of viewing time. And that was only after season 2. That didn't include season 3 in late June. Bluey. Speaking of South Park, the show's creators, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, are getting deeper into their fight with Paramount Global over the delay of the newest season. Now the season 27 premiere is in doubt. And it's over a $3 billion deal. Earlier this month, we talked about it. They posted on the South Park social media channels about their frustration with Paramount over the 2-week delay of the release. Season 26 premiered 2 years ago in 2023, only 6 episodes. But and now via the Hollywood Reporter, there's an ongoing dispute around a new 10-year, $3 billion deal for Parker and Stone that, according to the Hollywood Reporter, says, quote, would more than triple the valuation of the current deal that expires in 2027, unquote. But apparently this feud might end up in court, as Parker and Stone have hired Brian Friedman, quote, a prominent lawyer and bulldog negotiator known for aggressive legal maneuvering, unquote, claiming that this lawsuit is claiming that Skydance is interfering with contract negotiations, as Skydance is in the process of taking over Paramount Global. Skydance says they approved rights on contracts. It has approval rights on contracts. It still hasn't gotten approval on its merger with Paramount, though. But this 10-year deal is too long for Skydance, apparently. Season 27 is still expected to launch on July 23rd. However, this could change. South Park streaming deals expired back on June 30th, which then allowed them to extend the deal with Warner Brothers Discovery to keep the show on HBO Max, but it's not on Paramount Plus's streaming lineup internationally, which is weird because it's a Paramount show. I don't know. We'll see what happens with South Park, Trey Parker, and Matt Stone. Megan 2.0 is officially a massive bust. It is now available to get on digital just 3 weeks after being in theaters. Jesus. Talk about a massive fall for a movie where the first one did so well. That's sad. We finally, hey, I got some more stuff for you Whovians out there. We know that Ryan Kutigawa quit Doctor Who. He said it was because the lead role was, quote, physically, emotionally, and mentally strenuous. That's weird. Really? Like, wouldn't you know that going in, dude? He said he felt he was getting old. You're 32, my guy. I'm older than you, and I don't feel like I'm getting old. He's the third youngest actor to ever play the Doctor. But he was on Sunday with Laura Kunsberg, and was asked why he walked away, saying, quote, because I'm getting old and my body was tired. My body, my knees. I've now just started doing some ballet, so I'm making some good decisions here. It's the most amazing job in the world. It's a job that any actor would dream of. Because it's so good, it's strenuous. It takes a lot out of you physically, emotionally, mentally, so it was time, unquote. That's strange. I don't know. Anyway, the Emmy nominations were announced this week, and there's some wild snubs because Diego Luna was not nominated for a leading actor in a drama, which is pretty fucking sad because that dude knocked it out of the park as Cassian Andor. But look, anyway, the Primetime Emmy Awards will air September 14th. Severance led the pack with 27 nominations. So The White Lotus has 23, The Last of Us 16, Andor 14, The Pit at 13. The Studio with 23 nominations. The Bear dropped down to 13. Hacks at 14. Shrinking at 9. The Penguin had 24. Adolescence had 13. Wow, The Bear had a big drop-off. People did not like Season 3. Anyway, Outstanding Drama Series, you have Andor, The Diplomat, The Last of Us, Paradise, The Pit, Severance, Slow Horses, The White Lotus. Outstanding Comedy Series, Abbott Elementary, The Bear, Hacks, Nobody Wants This, Only Murders in the Building, Shrinking, The Studio, What We Do in the Shadows. If The Studio doesn't win, thank you, Sal Saperstein. Outstanding Limited or Anthology Series, Adolescence, Black Mirror, Dying for Sex, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, The Penguin. Lead Actor in a Drama Series, Sterling K. Brown for Paradise, Gary Oldman for Slow Horses, Pedro Pascal, The Last of Us, Adam Scott, Severance, and Noah Weil, The Pit. Supporting Actor in a Drama Series, Zach Cherry, Severance, Walton Goggins, The White Lotus, Jason Isaacs, The White Lotus, James Marsden, Paradise, Sam Rockwell, The White Lotus, Tremel Tillman, Severance, John Turturro, Severance. Lead Actress in a Drama Series, Kathy Bates in Matlock, Sharon Horgan in Bad Sisters, Britt Lower, Severance, Bella Ramsey, The Last of Us, Kerry Russell, The Diplomat. Supporting Actress in a Drama Series, Patricia Arquette, Severance, Carrie Coon, The White Lotus, Catherine Lanasa, The Pit, Julian Nicholson, Paradise, Parker Posey, The White Lotus, Natasha Rothwell, The White Lotus, Amy Lou Wood, The White Lotus. So look, even Genevieve O'Reilly not nominated for Andor. That's ridiculous. Writing for a Drama Series, Dan Gilroy, Andor, Joe Sachs, The Pit, R. Scott Gemmell, The Pit, Dan Erickson, Severance, Will Smith, Slow Horses, Mike White, The White Lotus. Let's move on to comedy. Lead actor in a comedy series, Adam Brody, Nobody Wants This, Seth Rogen, The Studio, Jason Segel, Shrinking, Martin Short, Only Murders in the Building, Jeremy Allen White, The Bear. Supporting actor in a comedy series, Ike Barinholtz, The Studio. Thank you, Cel Saperstein. Coleman Domingo, The Four Seasons, Harrison Ford, Shrinking. That's his first Emmy nomination. Jeff Hiller, Somebody Somewhere. Eben Moss Bacharach, The Bear. Michael Urie, Shrinking. Bowen Yang, Saturday Night Live. Lead actress in a comedy series, Uzo Aduba, The Residents. Love that show, got canceled. Kristen Bell, Nobody Wants This. Kinta Brunson, Abbott Elementary. Ayo Edebiri, The Bear. Jean Smart, Hacks. Supporting actress in a comedy series, Liza Colon-Zayas, The Bear. Hannah Einbinder, Hacks. Catherine Hahn, The Studio. Janelle James, Abbott Elementary. Catherine O'Hara, The Studio. Cheryl Lee Ralph, Abbott Elementary. And Jessica Williams in Shrinking. All right, let's talk about lead actor in a limited or anthology series or movie. Colin Farrell, The Penguin. Stephen Graham, Adolescence. Jake Gyllenhaal, Presumed Innocent. Brian Tyree Henry, Dope Thief. Cooper Koch, The Monsters, The Lyle and Eric Menendez Story. Supporting actor in a limited or anthology series or movie. Javier Bardem, Monsters, The Lyle and Eric Menendez Story. Bill Camp, Presumed Innocent. Owen Cooper, Adolescence. Rob Delaney, Dying for Sex. Peter Sarsgaard, Presumed Innocent. Ashley Walters, Adolescence. Lead actress in a limited or anthology series or movie. Kate Blanchett, Disclaimer. Megan Fahey, Sirens. Rashida Jones, Black Mirror. Kristen Milotti, The Penguin. Michelle Williams, Dying for Sex. Supporting actress in a limited or anthology. Erin Doherty, Adolescence. Ruth Negga, Presumed Innocent. Deidre O'Connell, The Penguin. Chloe Sevigny, Monsters, The Lyle and Eric Menendez Story. Jenny Slate, Dying for Sex. Christine Tremarco, Adolescence. Animated program, you have Arcane on Netflix, Bob's Burgers, Common Side Effects, Love, Death, and Robots, The Simpsons. Wow, when was the last time The Simpsons was nominated for an Emmy? Talk series, you have The Daily Show, Jimmy Kimmel, and Late Show with Stephen Colbert. So that's new, because John Oliver kept beating them because they were in Variety. Reality competition program, Amazing Race, RuPaul's Drag Race, Survivor, Top Chef, The Traitors. Scripted variety series, you have Last Week Tonight and and Saturday Night Live. So yeah, variety special, the Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show starring Kendrick Lamar, Beyonce Bowl, the Oscars, SNL 50, the anniversary special, and SNL 50, the homecoming concert. Obviously, that's not everything. But yeah, Tony Gilroy is a little frustrated that Diego Luna and Genevieve O'Reilly were not nominated. A lot of people are frustrated that Diego Luna was not nominated. Gilroy said to Deadline, quote, "There are a lot of performances that I wish were recognized. Diego Luna and Genevieve O'Reilly, there are a dozen performances," unquote. So I don't understand how neither of them were nominated. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. The Disneyland 70th anniversary debuted a new experience this week. I think it launches tomorrow. It's a moment with Walt or something like that. It is the first animatronic of Walt Disney himself. It is the wildest animatronic I think I've ever seen them make. It is doing things. It's dark magic, whatever those Imagineers do. I swear to God, it's dark magic. The Imagineers are wild for this. It is the best looking animatronic I've ever seen. Like I said, it's doing things that I didn't think were possible for animatronics. It is great, and I cannot wait to see this thing. I don't know when the next time I'll be at Disneyland, to be honest, but I'm sure it will be sometime within the next year because I need to see this thing. It's going to be there through next I forget how long they're doing the 70th anniversary celebration, but it's sometime through next year. Check it out online if you guys aren't going to be able to get to Disneyland anytime soon. Superman, which features Crypto, the Superdog, in his live-action debut, has led to a massive spike in dog adoptions, which is amazing to hear. The Wrap has found via data that Google searches for, quote, adopt a dog near me, unquote, jumped 513% after Superman premiered last Friday. Meanwhile, quote, rescue dog adoption near me, unquote, rose 163%. Adopt a puppy went up, and other things like that. And then, quote, adopt a schnauzer, unquote, spiked 299%. Because everyone thought that's what Crypto was, but James Gunn has said it's just a generic dog breed, which is crazy. James Gunn said, quote, this film has been a barrage of blessings for me. This one may be the greatest, unquote. That's awesome. Go adopt a pet. If you can. Jesus Christ. Only adopt a pet if you can. Do not adopt a pet if you are not able to fully take care of that animal. Because then it might just end up back at the shelter. We got a new Stranger Things trailer, and I'm very confused by it. It does not make any sense at all. Obviously, as everyone gets older as well. At least it looks like the town has been fully taken over by the government, but the town lets the kids do whatever they want to fight Vecna, who's back. There's a lot of Demogorgons, though, and Hopper. So there's that. I still think their release schedule is really fucking stupid. Gotta wait for Thanksgiving, dude. What? Anyway, Fantastic Four launches in theaters next week, and we do know, now know, that John Malkovich, his character, the Red Ghost, has been cut from the film. That's unfortunate. But, yeah. Anyway, that's it for news. Let's talk about Superman. I know we're getting long here on the episode this week. But anyway, I saw Superman last night. And honestly, great fucking movie. I loved every minute of it. I do have some complaints. It wasn't perfect, but like, first off, Guy Gardner is the best part of the movie. Every scene with him in it, or the Green Lanterns in it, it is... I don't mean Green Lanterns. There's only just Guy. Just funny. There's a lot of background stuff going on, which is typical of a James Gunn movie. Always hilarious. I don't know if maybe the sound was off in my theater, but the whistling for Crypto was always like the loudest part of the movie. Hawkgirl screeches a little too much. And the movie kind of moves at like a breakneck speed. Those are my biggest complaints with it. I can totally see how it would be seen as like a live action version of an episode of the Superman the Animated Series. Can totally see that. Nicholas Hoult plays an amazing Lex Luthor that really makes you hate Lex Luthor, which you're kind of supposed to. You're not supposed to ever root for Lex Luthor. Let's be honest here. I am very excited for this to be the launch of the new DC universe. And I'm not the biggest Superman dude. And yeah, I know I have a Daily Planet shirt and I wore it, but like in terms of comic book characters and DC characters, Superman is like 10th on my list, realistically. This is the first time I've been excited by a Superman movie, and I really liked Man of Steel, right? But this movie, you get hope from it. It does preach kindness and being nice to people. Like I said, Superman saves a squirrel. He does everything in his power to save people if he can. He is just a genuinely nice person in this movie. The idea of him being an immigrant or an alien or whatever really only comes up with Lex just hating him. At the central story is this idea of Baravia, invading Jaranpur. Superman would stand up for what's right. He wouldn't support like a country invading. And no, it does. It's not an allegory for what's going on in the Middle East. And people need to chill out, and they're projecting. In my opinion, if you see Superman as a villain, it means you're not a good person. Right? If you see this movie as a comment on your beliefs or your society or something like that, that means you're the bad guys. No, I'm not really saying that, but you're taking the wrong message away, or you haven't seen the movie. The movie literally just preaches about being just kind and genuine and nice to people. Maybe that's the real punk rock. You'll get it if you watch the movie. Mr. Terrific is great. Jimmy Olsen is just a fucking baller, dude. I want to be Jimmy Olsen in this universe. David Corenswet is an awesome, both a Clark Kent and a Superman. Loved every minute of him on screen. Rachel Brosnahan is probably the best Lois Lane we've ever gotten, hands down. Their interview scene together is great and really fits like what a modern reporter would probably ask Superman, so that's cool. The action is amazing. The CGI scenes are great. There's a lot of levity and comedy and lightheartedness in the film that I very much enjoy. Whoever the cinematographer was, great job. The flying scenes, I think, were the best. And I know they used a type of lens that can kind of distort things, but watching Superman fly, but from his face, you're looking at his face flying. I think that's like the best decision they've ever made for a flying scene. I think it really worked. I think it really showed off like the talents and things like that. I really love Guy Gardner though. It was fun to see an established world. Like, you don't need to see Clark landing on Earth again. You don't need to see Krypton blowing up. We all know these things. The story starts off with like some exposition dump about 300 years ago, metahumans arrived. 30 years ago, an alien ship crashed on Earth carrying a baby. 3 years ago, that baby grown and became Superman. 3 months ago, something something. 3 minutes ago, something something. Like it really sets the story up. It sets the world up. You jump right in. And you hit the ground running with Superman and then Krypto. Krypto's great in the movie as well. Really fun dog. Ultraman is a bit of a letdown for now. The Engineer's cool. Like I said, Lex is really great. Guy Gardner, though, Nathan Fillion knocked it out of the fucking park, dude. I can't wait to see him more as Guy Gardner in the Lantern Show. That's for sure. But some of the things they're teasing, I think some stuff with Peacemaker for sure. John Cena is in the movie in a small cameo. This is what I'll say without spoiling too much. I think Bizarro will be the villain of the next Superman movie if they ever make it. That's all I'm going to say in that regard. But it's definitely setting up a wider DC universe, and I like that. Without going too much. If you think there's too many characters, you need to watch the movie. There isn't. Everything is well played out and well written out and smooth for the most part. Like I said, it does have a bit of a breakneck pace in some places, but it ends up all working out. And there's ties to other shows and things that are happening, like Rick Flag Sr., Belle Rev is mentioned, Peacemaker, things like that. So it'll be interesting to see what happens next. Our next viewing of the DC Universe, of course, will be in Peacemaker Season 2, which comes out in a few months. But overall, I love Superman. I thought it's great. I think it's the movie of the summer right now. It's one of my favorite superhero movies I've seen this year. A solid 8 out of 10. Like I said, it's not perfect. There's some things that it could have done better. I still think F1 is a better overall movie, but I think Superman is a better experience overall. And I think it's for more people and things like that. F1, your mileage, pun intended, might vary. Superman, I think, is fun for everyone, and everyone could get behind it. If you were on the fence about it, I highly, highly, highly suggest you go watch it because it's that good. Superman is he's a good dude. I can't wait to see more of David Corenswet as Superman and this expanded new DC universe. That is it for Nixner News this week. Thank you guys for listening week in, week out. Appreciate it. Check out the website, and I will catch you guys on the flip side.
This has been a production of Nixner News. Please do not use without implicit faxed permission. And yes, that means with a fax machine.